The blinding flash of cameras exploded like fireworks as Nicole rushed through the backstage exit of the Los Angeles arena, her heart still pounding from the roar of the crowd that had chanted her name for 20 straight minutes. But the notification on her phone hit harder than any spotlight ever had. "Call me right now, Nicole, your career is finished," her manager screamed the second she answered. There it was, the photo of her lips pressed against Emerson's in a stolen passionate kiss captured backstage after the encore, now trending with over 5 million views in under an hour. "This cannot be real," Nicole whispered, her voice cracking as she leaned against the cold brick wall, the cool night air doing nothing to stop the heat rising in her cheeks. Her manager kept talking, but the words blurred together, something about the Chicago show being canceled by the venue sponsors pulling out and conservative groups already organizing boycotts. Nicole had spent 6 years building her career as America's next pop sensation, careful never to let anyone see the truth that she, Nicole, the girl with the golden voice and the perfect smile, was in love with another woman. Emerson had been her secret for 2 years, the quiet photographer who understood every late-night doubt, every fear of never being enough. They met at a small open mic in New York when Emerson was shooting promo stills, and Nicole was just starting to believe she could make it. That kiss in the green room had felt so safe, so hidden. But now it was everywhere, destroying everything she had sacrificed for. By the time she reached her Hollywood Hills apartment, the headlines were already live. Nicole exposed secret lesbian affair, rocks music industry, show canceled. She collapsed onto the couch, staring at the ceiling, her phone buzzing nonstop with messages from family, friends, and strangers. The first call from her mother came at dawn. "Nicole, what have you done to us?" her mother sobbed, the pain in her voice slicing through the line like a knife. "Your father is beside himself. We raised you in the church with values, and now this photo is all over the news. Come home right now and fix this." Nicole closed her eyes, remembering the strict household in suburban Chicago where any hint of difference was met with prayer sessions and lectures on sin. She had hidden her feelings since high school, dating boys for show while her heart belonged to girls like Emerson. "Mom, it is not what it looks like," she lied, the words tasting like ash, but the silence on the other end told her no one believed it. Emerson arrived an hour later, her eyes red from crying, her own phone blowing up with calls from her freelance clients canceling shoots. "I am so sorry, baby," Emerson said, pulling Nicole into her arms, their bodies fitting together like they always had. "I should have been more careful." But Nicole shook her head, holding on tighter. "This is not your fault, it is mine for thinking we could keep it secret forever." The next 48 hours were a whirlwind of crisis meetings. Her manager, a sharp woman named Rachel, laid out the damage in brutal terms. 3 major sponsors are gone, the radio stations are dropping your single, and the venue in Chicago sent a formal cancellation citing family-friendly policies. "We need a statement denying it or spinning it as a publicity stunt." Nicole sat at the long conference table, her hands shaking as she read the draft. "I cannot lie anymore," she said quietly, the first time she had voiced the truth out loud. Rachel slammed her notebook down. "Then say goodbye to the rest of your tour, Nicole. This is not the time for bravery, it is the time for survival." Outside the office, protesters had already gathered, holding signs that read, "Repent, Nicole," and "Protect our children." Nicole watched from the window, her stomach twisting with a mix of fear and anger. How could a single moment of love cause this much hate? That night she drove to her parents' house, the familiar suburban street feeling like enemy territory. Her father met her at the door, his face stone cold. "Inside now," he ordered. The family sat in the living room, her younger sister Lily avoiding eye contact, her mother clutching a Bible. "This is not who you are," her father said, his voice rising. "You have a gift from God and you are throwing it away for some phase with that girl. Deny it publicly, or do not call yourself our daughter anymore." Nicole felt tears burning, but she stood tall. "Emerson is not a phase, she is the only real thing in my life. I love her." The words hung in the air, heavy and final. Her mother broke down sobbing while her father stormed out. Lily whispered, "You ruined everything, sis," before leaving the room. Nicole drove back to Los Angeles in silence, the weight of their disappointment crushing her chest. Emerson waited up, cooking pasta, their favorite comfort food, but neither could eat. "They will come around," Emerson said, but her voice lacked conviction. Nicole stared at the photo still circulating online, the one that had cost her the biggest show of her career. She wondered if the price of truth was worth losing the family that had shaped her. The inner storm raged all night, sleep refusing to come as she replayed every choice that led here, the secret dates, the hidden touches, the fear that had kept her silent for so long. By morning the cancellation was official. Her team confirmed 4 more dates scratched from the calendar. Nicole stood on her balcony looking over the city that had promised her fame, and now seemed ready to take it all back. Emerson joined her, wrapping an arm around her waist. "Whatever happens, we face it together," she said. Nicole nodded, but deep down the doubt gnawed at her. Was this love strong enough to survive the wreckage, or had she just destroyed both their lives in one careless kiss? The days blurred into a nightmare of damage control and isolation, as Nicole watched her carefully built world crumble piece by piece. Social media had turned into a war zone, with hashtags like Justice for Nicole trending alongside vicious attacks calling her a disgrace and a bad influence. She scrolled through the comments until Emerson gently took the phone away. "You cannot keep doing this to yourself," Emerson said, her voice soft but firm as they sat in the dim living room, the curtains drawn to block out the photographers camped outside. Nicole had barely left the apartment in 3 days, her manager Rachel calling daily with worse news. Another brand just pulled their endorsement deal worth $200,000. Rachel reported, the frustration clear. "And your streaming numbers are tanking because playlists are removing you. We need to pivot fast or the whole album cycle is dead." Nicole felt the panic rising like bile. Music was not just her job, it was her identity, the one thing that had always made sense when everything else felt wrong. She remembered the first time she performed at a school talent show at 14, the applause filling the empty space her conservative parents had left in her heart. Now that same voice that had opened doors was slamming them shut. A knock at the door startled them both. It was Sarah, her supposed best friend from the industry, a fellow singer, who had known about Nicole and Emerson for over a year. "I came as soon as I could," Sarah said, hugging Nicole tightly, but something in her eyes looked off. They talked for hours, Sarah offering sympathy and stories of other artists who survived scandals. But later that night Nicole saw the interview Sarah had given earlier, claiming she had no idea about the relationship, and that Nicole had always seemed straight. "She sold me out," Nicole whispered to Emerson after replaying the clip, the betrayal cutting deeper than any headline. Emerson held her as she cried, the anger mixing with grief. "People show their true colors when money and reputation are on the line," Emerson said, her own voice tight. Emerson was facing her own storm, her photography gigs drying up, clients citing the unwanted attention. "I lost a big corporate shoot today," she admitted over breakfast the next morning. "They said associating with the story was too risky." Nicole reached across the table, squeezing her hand. "I am dragging you down with me." The guilt was constant, a heavy chain around her neck. That afternoon they drove to a quiet park outside the city, trying to escape the noise. Sitting on a bench under the trees, Nicole poured out her fears. "My family thinks I am broken, my fans think I lied to them, and the industry is done with me. What if I was never meant to have both love and success?" Emerson listened, her dark eyes steady. "You deserve both, but the world does not make it easy for women like us. I have faced this before with my own family back in Texas. They stopped talking to me when I came out at 19. It hurt like hell, but I survived, and you will too." They shared a quiet kiss hidden by the leaves, but even that felt dangerous now. Back at the apartment, more bad news waited. A conservative radio host had called for a boycott of all her music, and several fan pages were organizing protests at her next scheduled appearance, even though it had been canceled. Nicole watched the live stream from one such event, the signs reading "Nicole, go home," and "Sin is not entertainment." Her stomach twisted as she recognized faces from her old church youth group. The confrontation came to her doorstep the next day when a small group showed up chanting prayers. Nicole stepped onto the balcony, her voice shaking. "I am still the same person who sang for you all these years," she called down. "Love does not make me less worthy of respect." The response was a mix of boos and a few hesitant cheers, but the police eventually dispersed them. Inside, Emerson paced the floor. "This is getting dangerous, Nicole. Maybe we should lay low for a while." But laying low felt like surrender, and Nicole was tired of hiding. She started writing late into the night, new lyrics flowing out raw and honest about the cost of secrets and the fire of truth. Emerson read them over her shoulder one night, tears in her eyes. "These are your best yet," she said. "They come from the real you." Yet the real her was fracturing under the pressure. Calls from her sister Lily were cold and brief. "Dad says not to come home for Thanksgiving this year," Lily reported, the words landing like blows. Nicole hung up and cried in Emerson's arms, the loss of family feeling like a death. Rachel pushed harder for a public statement denying the photo as edited or staged, but Nicole refused. I will not lie anymore, she said during their latest meeting, the tension thick. Then prepare to lose more, Rachel warned. The inner conflict raged every night as Nicole lay awake questioning every decision. Had she been selfish for loving Emerson openly, or was the real selfishness all the years of pretending? Emerson sensed the doubt and confronted her gently one evening. If you need space to figure this out, I will give it, but do not push me away out of fear. Nicole pulled her close, the warmth of their embrace the only anchor left. But the world kept spinning faster, with more cancellations, more lost opportunities, and more voices telling her she had made the wrong choice. The price was mounting, and Nicole wondered how much more she could pay before everything broke. Weeks turned into a haze of isolation and soul-searching, as Nicole navigated the wreckage of her once thriving career. The cancellations had snowballed into lost festival slots, and a record label meeting that ended with a polite but firm postponement of her next album. We support you personally, the executive said, his smile not reaching his eyes, but the market is sensitive right now. Nicole left the office numb, driving aimlessly through Los Angeles, until she ended up at the beach where she and Emerson had shared their first real date 2 years earlier. The memory hit hard, the laughter, the waves, the way Emerson's hand had felt in hers under the cover of sunset. Now that hand was still there, but the future it promised felt uncertain. Emerson joined her later that day, bringing sandwiches and a quiet strength that Nicole clung to. My mother called today, Emerson said as they sat on the sand. She wants me to come home to Texas and leave all this behind. She says I am throwing my life away for a celebrity fling. Nicole looked at her, the guilt twisting deeper. Do you regret us? Emerson shook her head fiercely. Never, but I hate what it is costing you. They talked for hours about the moral weight of their choices, the way society judged women who loved women more harshly than anyone else. Nicole confessed the nights she had prayed as a teenager, begging for her feelings to change to fit her family's expectations. I thought if I just hid it long enough it would go away, she admitted, the wind carrying her words out to sea. But loving you made hiding impossible. Back at the apartment, another confrontation waited in the form of an unexpected visitor. Her old manager from the early days, a woman named Carla, who had been like a mentor. I saw the news, Carla said, hugging her tightly. You have talent, kid, but talent does not pay bills when the public turns on you. Take my advice, deny it all, spin it as a mistake, and get back on stage. Nicole pulled away the suggestion, feeling like another betrayal. I cannot live a lie anymore, Carla, it almost killed me inside. Carla left disappointed, the door closing with a finality that echoed through the empty rooms. That night Nicole and Emerson argued for the first time, the tension that had been building finally breaking. You keep pulling away, Emerson said, tears streaming. One minute you say you love me, the next you are staring at your phone like you wish none of this happened. Nicole paced the floor, her voice rising. I am losing everything, everything I worked for since I was 16. My family barely speaks to me, my fans are divided, and the money is drying up. How am I supposed to be strong when the world says our love is wrong? The fight ended with both of them in tears, Emerson sleeping on the couch for the first time. Nicole lay awake, the moral dilemma tearing at her. Was staying true to her heart worth the pain she was causing everyone, including the woman she loved? The next morning they reconciled with soft apologies and stronger hugs, but the crack remained. Social media continued its assault with deepfake videos and cruel memes circulating. One particularly vicious post from a former fan showed Nicole photoshopped into religious hell imagery, the comments filled with calls for her to repent or retire. Nicole read them despite Emerson's pleas, the words fueling a deep depression that left her bedridden for 2 days. Emerson cared for her, bringing soup and gentle encouragement, but Nicole could see the toll it was taking on her too, the dark circles under her eyes, the forced smiles. A phone call from Lily, her sister, offered a glimmer of hope. I miss you, Lily said quietly. Mom and Dad are still angry, but I do not hate you for who you are. Just be careful, okay? The small olive branch gave Nicole the courage to write more music, channeling the hurt into lyrics about awakening and the cost of silence. She played one new song for Emerson on her guitar, the melody raw and powerful. This is us, Emerson whispered when it ended. The real us. Yet the real us was still paying the price. Rachel called with news that a major streaming service had removed her entire catalog, temporarily citing review of content guidelines. The financial hit was severe, Nicole calculating she had lost over $400,000 in projected earnings already. I need to make a decision, she told Emerson one evening as they walked a quiet trail near their building. Hide forever or fight for the life I want. Emerson stopped turning to face her. Whatever you choose, I am here, but hiding means losing me too because I cannot live in the shadows anymore. The words hung heavy, the ultimate trade-off staring them in the face. Nicole spent the next week in turmoil, journaling her thoughts, weighing every angle: the family she might lose forever, the career she had bled for, the love that had saved her. A surprise invitation arrived from a small independent venue in New York, offering her a comeback show. No big sponsors, just a chance to perform for whoever showed up. It is tiny, Rachel warned, but it is something. Nicole stared at the email, the first spark of hope in weeks. She discussed it with Emerson late into the night, the decision feeling like the turning point she had been dreading and craving. I want to do it, Nicole said finally, her voice steady for the first time in months. But I want to do it as me, the whole me. Emerson smiled through tears, pulling her into a kiss that felt like a promise. The planning began, small steps toward a stage that might either save her or end her for good. The inner voices still whispered doubts, but for the first time Nicole felt the stirrings of a different kind of strength, the kind born from choosing truth over comfort no matter the cost. The decision to take the small New York gig marked the beginning of a slow, painful climb back from the edge, but every step forward came with new tests of will and heart. Nicole flew to New York alone at first, Emerson staying behind to handle some personal matters with her own family in Texas. The separation felt like another sacrifice, the miles between them amplifying the doubts that still lingered. In her Manhattan hotel room, Nicole practiced the new songs she had written, the lyrics pouring out her struggle with identity, family rejection, and the fierce love that refused to stay hidden. Her voice cracked on the high notes, the emotion too raw to contain. She met with the venue owner, a kind woman named Maria who had faced her own share of prejudice as a lesbian promoter in the 80s. The tickets sold out in hours, Maria said over coffee, the surprise evident. People are curious, some supportive, some not, but they are coming. The news both thrilled and terrified Nicole. Back in Los Angeles, Emerson faced her own confrontation, her mother flying in unannounced for an intervention-style meeting. This girl is ruining you, her mother argued in the small apartment, the words echoing the same ones Nicole had heard from her own parents. Emerson stood her ground, her voice trembling but clear. Nicole is not ruining me, she is the best part of me. I love her and I will not choose between family and happiness anymore. The argument lasted hours, ending with her mother leaving in tears, the door closing on years of strained silence. Emerson called Nicole afterward, sobbing, the shared pain binding them closer even across the distance. We are both losing our families, she said. But maybe we are gaining something better. Nicole returned to Los Angeles for a brief visit, the reunion with Emerson filled with quiet intensity and whispered promises. They spent the day in bed, not in passion but in conversation, mapping out the future if the New York show succeeded or failed. If it flops, I will support us, Emerson offered. I can take more freelance work. Nicole shook her head, the weight of being the provider heavy on her shoulders. I will not let it come to that, but thank you for being willing to carry us. The moral questions followed them everywhere. Was it right to risk everything for love when so many depended on her success, her team, her fans, her own stability? Rachel, the manager, remained skeptical, arranging a strategy session that turned into a heated debate. Bringing Emerson on stage would be career suicide, Rachel warned. Keep it professional, perform the hits and rebuild slowly. Nicole listened, the old fears rising but the new resolve held. I am done performing half a life, she replied. If they cannot accept all of me, then the career was never real. Rachel stormed out, the partnership fracturing further. Nicole used the time to reconnect with a small circle of true supporters, a group of female musicians who had quietly reached out with encouragement. One of them, Lena, a drummer, shared her own story of coming out in the rock scene years earlier, the losses and the eventual freedom. It hurts like hell at first, Lena said during a late-night jam session. But waking up every day as your full self is worth every lost gig. The words resonated deep in Nicole's core, reinforcing the choice she was making. The week before the New York show, the protests intensified, a larger group gathering outside her Los Angeles building with signs and chants that kept her awake. One night she stepped outside to face them, her heart pounding as she spoke into the megaphone offered by a sympathetic neighbor. I am not here to change your beliefs, she said, her voice carrying over the crowd, but I ask for the same respect you demand for yourselves. Love is not a choice, it is who I am. Some jeered but a few lowered their signs, listening, the small victory fueling her courage. Emerson flew to New York to join her the night before the show, their hotel room, a sanctuary of nerves and love. They rehearsed the set list together, Immersin suggesting changes that made the music even more personal. "End with the new song," Immersin urged, "the one about us." Nicole agreed the decision, feeling right despite the risk. The morning of the show brought a final test, a call from her father, his voice gruff and distant. "Your mother saw the news about New York," he said. "We pray you find your way back to the light." Nicole swallowed hard, the old wounds reopening. "I have found my light, Dad, it is the truth." He hung up without reply, the silence heavier than any argument. As she prepared to take the stage that evening, the sold-out crowd buzzing beyond the curtain, Nicole held Immersin's hand backstage, the touch grounding her. The inner conflict had not vanished, but it had transformed into determination, the price already paid now demanding she honor it. The lights dimmed, the roar building, and Nicole stepped forward, ready to face whatever came next, no longer willing to hide the woman she had become. The small New York venue pulsed with energy as Nicole stepped onto the stage, the spotlight hitting her like an old friend and a new challenge all at once. The crowd was a mix of curious fans, longtime supporters, and a vocal group of protesters who had bought tickets just to boo. She opened with her biggest hit, the familiar melody, earning cheers that drowned out the scattered jeers. But as the set progressed, she felt the shift inside her, the need to speak her truth growing with every song. Immersin watched from the wings, her presence a silent promise that no matter the outcome they would walk out together. Between songs, Nicole paused at the microphone, her hands steady despite the pounding heart. "I have spent years hiding who I am," she said, the words echoing through the room. "Because I was afraid of losing everything. But hiding cost me more than any cancellation ever could, my peace, my self-respect, and almost the love that saved me." The audience quieted, some nodding, others shifting uncomfortably. She launched into the new material, the raw lyrics about betrayal, family pressure, and awakening, hitting harder than any chart topper. The response was electric, applause building until the entire room seemed to vibrate. Immersin joined her for the final song, stepping into the light for the first time publicly, their hands linking naturally as Nicole sang the chorus about choosing love over fear. The gesture sent a ripple through the crowd, some standing, others shouting in protest, but the majority erupted in support, the energy shifting the room from divided to united in that moment. Backstage after the encore, the adrenaline crashed hard. Rachel called immediately, her tone shocked. "The clips are already viral, Nicole. This is bigger than the original leak. Offers are coming in already from places that dropped you." But the victory felt hollow when Nicole checked her messages, her mother's text reading only, "We saw the show. We need time." The family rejection lingered like a shadow even as Immersin celebrated with her, wrapping her in a tight hug. "You were incredible," Immersin whispered. "We were incredible." They flew back to Los Angeles the next day, the plane ride filled with planning and quiet reflection. The price of the performance became clear in the following weeks, as conservative media outlets ran segments condemning the display, some calling for boycotts of any venue that hosted her. Yet the support surged from unexpected places. LGBTQ organizations reached out with invitations to events, and a new wave of fans flooded her socials with stories of their own awakenings. Immersin faced renewed pressure from her Texas family, a cousin posting online about the shame brought on the family name. "I told them I am proud of us," Immersin said one night as they cooked dinner together, the domestic normalcy a balm after the chaos. Nicole nodded, but the moral weight pressed on her. Had she done the right thing by forcing the world to see them, or had she selfishly dragged Immersin into a spotlight she never asked for? The inner debate followed her into a meeting with a new potential manager, a woman named Tessa who specialized in artists navigating public identity shifts. "You have momentum now," Tessa said, reviewing the data. "But sustaining it means owning the narrative completely. No more half measures." Nicole agreed, signing the contract, the decision feeling like another trade-off, trading old stability for uncertain growth. The confrontations continued, a heated call with her sister Lily, who accused her of turning their family into tabloid fodder. "You think this makes you brave," Lily said. "But it just makes us look like failures as parents." Nicole hung up, the tears coming fast, the guilt mixing with anger at the unfair blame. Immersin held her through it, reminding her that family love should not demand erasure. As weeks passed, the offers poured in, a mid-sized tour, a collaboration with a major queer artist, and even a documentary pitch about her journey. Yet the success carried its own cost, Nicole missing the simple life she once had, the anonymous moments with Immersin before the world knew their names. One evening they sat on their balcony watching the city lights, Nicole voicing the doubt. "Sometimes I wonder if the old way was easier, even if it was a lie." Emerson turned to her, the city glow reflecting in her eyes. Easier, yes, but it was killing you slowly. This way we live fully even if it hurts. The conversation led to a deeper commitment, the two of them discussing a future beyond the drama, perhaps a quiet home together away from the spotlight when the time was right. The climax built as the date for a larger comeback show in Los Angeles approached the venue, the same one that had canceled her months earlier, now begging to host her return. They want the story, Tessa explained. The redemption arc. Nicole hesitated, the idea of stepping back into that arena stirring old fears, but Emerson encouraged her. This time we do it on our terms. Rehearsals intensified the set list, a perfect blend of old hits and new truths, each song carrying the weight of every tear, every argument, every price paid. The night before the big show, Nicole stood alone on the empty stage, the same one from her nightmare months ago, now filled with possibility. She whispered a quiet prayer, not for forgiveness but for strength, the kind that came from within. Emerson found her there, pulling her into a kiss under the work lights, the moment pure and unafraid. The world had tried to break them, but instead it had forged something unbreakable. As the final preparations wrapped, Nicole felt the tension peak, the choices of the past colliding with the future she had chosen, no turning back now. The Los Angeles arena buzzed with an electricity Nicole had never felt before, the same venue that had canceled her show now packed beyond capacity with fans, supporters, and even some of the original protesters who had bought tickets out of curiosity. Backstage, the air was thick with anticipation as she paced the narrow hallway, her hands clammy despite the calm she projected. Emerson stood beside her, their fingers intertwined, the simple touch carrying months of shared battles, family heartaches, and hard-won growth. Whatever happens out there, Emerson said softly, we walk out holding hands no matter what. Nicole nodded, the words anchoring her as the stage manager gave the 5-minute call. The opening act finished to thunderous applause, and then it was her turn, the lights dimming, the crowd roaring as she stepped into the spotlight alone at first. She performed the first few songs with everything she had, the familiar melodies earning the kind of cheers that once defined her career but now felt earned in a deeper way. Midway through the set, she paused, the microphone heavy in her hand. 6 months ago, a single photo almost ended everything I had built, she said, her voice steady and clear. It cost me Deal's family approval and nearly my sanity. But it also gave me back something I had lost, the courage to be completely myself. The arena fell into a hushed silence, some phones held high, recording every word. Tonight I am not here as the girl who hid, I am here as the woman who loves fully and unapologetically. She gestured to the wings and Emerson walked out, the crowd erupting as their hands met center stage, the gesture simple yet defiant, the same one that had sparked the original scandal, now reclaiming the narrative. They performed the final song together, Emerson's presence adding a layer of raw emotion that transcended the music. The applause that followed was deafening, waves of sound that washed over them like redemption and validation combined. Confetti fell from the rafters as they took their bows, the stage lights bathing them in gold, the moment captured by hundreds of cameras and live streams. Backstage, the celebrations were immediate, Tessa, the new manager, rushing in with news of sold-out extensions and major label interest. You did it, Nicole, she said, hugging her tightly. The comeback is bigger than anyone imagined. Yet amid the joy, the costs remained visible in the quiet moments. A text from her mother arrived during the after-party. We watched from home. We love you, but we still need time to understand. Nicole read it with Emerson by her side, the mixed message a reminder that some bridges took longer to rebuild. Her sister Lily sent a simple heart emoji, the small gesture enough to bring tears. Emerson received her own updates from Texas, her cousin reaching out with a tentative apology, the family cracks slowly mending under the pressure of time and truth. They left the arena hand in hand, the same way they had entered, the night air cool against their flushed skin. Driving home through the city streets, Nicole reflected on every confrontation, every betrayal, and every sacrifice, the inner conflicts that had nearly broken her now resolved into a quiet strength. Emerson leaned her head on her shoulder, the silence comfortable and full. We paid a high price, Nicole said finally, but look what we gained. The months ahead would bring new challenges, tours, documentaries, and the ongoing navigation of fame with authenticity, but for the first time Nicole felt ready, unafraid of the spotlight or the shadows it cast. Their love had survived the storm, not unscathed but stronger, forged in the fire of choice and consequence. As they pulled into their driveway, the future stretched out, uncertain yet bright with possibility. In the end was Nicole's decision to step into the light with Emerson by her side, the right choice despite the pain it caused her family and the world, Or would hiding forever have been the kinder path for everyone involved?